Hey, I'm Claire. This is Studio Life. I'm here with Victoria from
Hi,
Punchpass.
Ron.
Hello. And today we're going to talk about something that you may have experienced or you may be yet to experience. And that is when someone opens up a very similar business to yours nearby. And maybe you feel a little bit threatened and wondering how to handle what you might perceive as some competition.
Yeah. Can definitely make you feel a little nervous when a new business that offers very similar sort of class offerings near you, kind of in your same town or area. I can definitely feel like a little bit like, uh-oh, are they going to start to take business away from me? And I think there's some pretty important things to like be aware of or ways to behave as like a studio owner or an instructor too. I think getting your instructors on board with the presentation of how you represent the studio is important. The biggest thing is like, I would say just you don't want to let your students know or that you're uncomfortable or nervous. Like, because you don't, there's nothing you can do to control their behavior. You're not trying, you can't really lock them in or prevent them from trying out the new studio.
Yeah.
Being calm and confident when you're talking to your students, and if they bring it up, like not bad mouthing the other studio, but just being like, there's other options out there. There's always other options out there. People could go online and check out very similar things to you. So it's just something to be like, yeah, people offer different things. Like we love our vibe here and we think we have something to offer, but there's people like different opportunities and we have the space to do it. And I think like not acting freaked out or not trying to freak out your customers is probably step one.
I think that's a great first step. I think a really good way to lean into that, I'm not sure if it's step 2 or just part of step 1, is really
Yeah.
remembering what you love about the modality that you teach and the reason that you opened your space. So if you love yoga, you theoretically would want there to be more yoga in the world and more yoga options for people to choose from. Dance, pole, Zumba, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You don't really start a business based around something like that if you don't have a deep sort of love for showing people
Mhm.
that this is a great addition to their life. So what happened to me when I had my yoga studio, we had a couple open up really quickly in rapid succession. One was hot yoga, which is not what we did. It didn't really matter to me when I first saw it come up on Facebook. I was like, I don't know what is
Yeah.
happening. But you got to remember that there's room for everybody. What's that saying that, when the tide rises, all the boats lift or something, like when there's more yoga, there's more yoga. And that's good for everybody.
Mm.
So I tried to lean into that. And yeah, some of my students went and gave it a try. Some came back, some didn't come back. The same thing happened from the other studio. And again, I
Mhm.
think you really just have to lean into your love for that modality and support and maybe even over support. Really show them love and
Yeah.
see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's a good way. It's hard when you're in it to like
It's
not
super hard. My wisdom is
press and
state later wisdom at the time. It was really
nice
tough.
after the fact. I think the other thing is not to try to meet them beat for beat. If you're like paying a lot of attention as to what they're doing and oh, they offer this kind of class on Wednesdays. I want to offer a competitive class on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Probably not a really smart move because now you're like, I mean, now we're really like spending a lot of
Yeah.
time thinking about them instead of thinking about you. And I think always thinking about your own business and what you want to do and how you want to, if you do want to make changes, focus on what actually inspires you and your instructors and your students, as opposed to, I have to directly compete beat for beat,
Yeah.
class for class, time for time with another studio is probably going to make sure that you have more longevity and give you a lot more peace of mind. Like you
I think
shouldn't
the peace of
plan your
mind.
schedule around them.
No, and I think the peace of mind is absolutely the crucial piece of the puzzle. You have to be okay
Mm.
with this, and you almost have to go beyond being okay with it and kind of flip yourself
Yeah.
into excitement, curiosity, and then you need to again sort of decide your values. So we had a
Yeah.
studio open up near us that wouldn't let their teachers sub at another studio within a couple of kilometers. So they weren't allowed to, so there was always this spirit of not cooperation, it was competition. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? I had to decide whether
Mhm.
I would match that policy with my teachers or whether I was going to be more
Right.
lenient and along the lines of what I feel to be the right thing to do. So I was like,
Mhm.
well, if they're not going to let their teachers, help out here, then I'm not going to let. And I was like, you know what? That's not. That's not how I run my business, and that's not how I run my life, and
Mm,
that's not a policy that feels right to me. So I
right.
accepted that they were gonna be a little bit stricter from their side, but I wanted to lean into what I felt was the right thing to do, and so left it loosey-goosey and let my teachers go there if they needed to, or and that gave me peace of mind, you know? It just really made it a
Yeah.
lot calmer experience. You're not in competition, you're in
Yeah.
cooperation.
And
Except for the
I
time
mean,
that the new one did steal my wording off of my website, and that was a bridge too far. I only had to step in.
well, that's the
That
thing
was it.
is like, I mean, obviously, like there can be times where you're like, I feel like I've been wronged in a sense.
Yeah.
Like those things can happen. But I'd say, and definitely like if that's something that happens, like communicate. You can, if you need to communicate with them, that makes sense. I think the biggest thing that was like, don't communicate that to your customers. Like
No,
that's
man.
like the biggest thing is like you do not want because honestly the reality is like imagine back before you were a studio owner and you were a practitioner, you probably would have been excited about like, oh, you know what, I take these classes and wouldn't it be cool if I could take more classes, but they don't
Yeah.
offer those now or they don't offer that and I want to explore this other modality potentially. Yeah, and so you don't want to like yuck their yum if they're excited
Right.
about this new opportunity. And you want to, again, most of us want to present ourselves as kind and friendly studios. And even if sometimes you might be feeling it, like that's stuff that, like, you can talk to with your friend or your partner or,
Right.
a licensed therapist. And it's like, have to talk about that with your customer base because,
No.
again, they might take 2 classes there and then be like, "Oh, I just love my home studio." And on the
And
other
what
hand, like, different strokes for different folks. Maybe you want some of the people who are, like, maybe not your cup of tea. Maybe that's a better studio for them, and that kinda solves some of your interpersonal issues if there are any.
yeah, well, it gives you an opportunity to really lean into what your studio does best and not feel like you have to be everything to everybody. So again, I can only speak from my personal
Mhm.
experience, which was I was the only yoga studio in town for a while, definitely had a certain vibe to it. This other yoga studio opened up and they did some things that I didn't do. You know, like I said, the hot yoga and things along those lines that people had maybe asked me about. And I was like, it's not really my thing. Now there's an opportunity to do it and I could stay in my lane. This is what we do. This is what we do well. This
Mhm.
is what it's going to be. This is it. If you don't want that, now you've got other options. And that felt like a really powerful kind of stance to take. And yeah, you
I love
need to
that.
really and you need to be able to, articulate it, so don't be afraid to practice, what you're gonna say, and you'll have some loyal
Mhm.
students who'll probably come in and say, "Oh, we're never gonna go there," and how terrible that they'll be trying to have your back, and you need to be ready for that too, and to sort of be able to
Mhm.
manage those situations in a way that respects and values their loyalty and love for you, but also, making sure that they're welcoming these other people into what's effectively, your community.
Yeah,
Lots of
absolutely.
opportunity, but we don't begrudge you a
For
couple
sure.
of days jumping around. Definitely a couple of days,
Yeah,
to
just
sort it out
feel your
and that
feelings.
shove
Yeah,
feel your feelings, and then I think make a plan because there is a silver lining, sure.
for sure.